Welcome, trolls. First sees all.
Hi there, everyone. We're going to see an amazing view of real structures on the moon. There's some on the right, outside of the circle, but first inside of the circle, looks like some of these platformed or whatever they may be, these structures are holding by these massive feet or lines, or the tunnels going in the ground. But over to the right, there's this. Now, I worked hard to be able to do this video and to do a bunch of different filters on just this one shape. Because as blurry as many of you find it, it's proof that there's structure there. Okay, so there's a rectangle going inside of the ground or a rectangle standing up off the ground. So now we're going to show you, I'm going to show you a negative image, and this is the negative image. We're going to turn it around at one point, completely upside down, and you're going to see that what looks like just a square on the ground could be something standing, right? We're still upside down there. You see right in the center, an offside rectangle. And again, just like the rectangles I showed you in sinus iridum that we often see, those planar covers. So now we're right side up. The shadow or whatever is around it, a square base, and you can even see the shadow of it here, right there. Like that's the rectangle or blur or object that I'm looking at standing up out of the crater. And now just with a simple green filter, you can see it there. But now, hang on a minute. Now look, a lot of places on the moon have these dark lines that they run through and cut, even look like they cut through craters, right? So these are like corridors, I call them, because I don't really know what to call them, but they're there and they stick out. Over to the right here, there's even another one there, like a bridge-like object, and they're very hard to see. Again, now I'm going to bring down the light. I'm trying to open your pupils for you and switch back so that your eye sees the structuring and difference. It's still over to the right there. You can see that area, but here in the center, see, over to the right, there's that object, and over to the left, you see more objects and lines and paths, because these have to be connected. How are they to get to other levels, right? They would have to go through those lines, you'd assume. That's what I'm assuming. Really does look like a moon base, I'll tell you that. High up into the craters, around the edges of the craters like that. Again, just simple filtering here to get your eyes used to seeing that particular structure. I have plenty of time. I do videos every day, and I wanted to take the time, look at that 90-degree angle, want to really take the time to show you this object. I'm going to take the mouse and go around what I'm telling you is there. It's an out-of-place object. No, I don't know what it is, and no, you don't see any windows like a building or skyscraper, but it's there. And around it, it's cut out. You see the crater is cut out, the white part. There's a 90-degree angle all around here. There, right there, it's cut out. And this is in negative. So that's pretty impressive. There it is again in the negative, but with the exposure taken down. So yeah, all these cutout areas inside, and there again, there's that square now with the green, trying to just show you different ways of seeing it. There's no easy way of seeing it, because the more you zoom in, the blurrier it's going to get. There is a haze on the surface. But see, again, these rectangles are there. Here a bit clearer, right? I have the red squares up around the areas where I want you to see, not necessarily want to say, hey, they're all perfectly rectangle. They're not. But they have straight edges and lines, and they're connected. So, and look at that tunnel there, right? That circle I just showed you. You see that? Going into the ground, like literally a square door. This is simple inversion, the bottom of Copernicus. And now here in negative instead, from the regular photo to the negative. Here's one of my favorites. I mean, it's just a humongous 90-degree angle object on the ground that has lines going to it. It does look lifted off of the ground. That would be very, very high. And again, two lines going to, well, there's more than two lines, I'm telling you, but the ones that are apparent are right there. And now keep going with your eye if you have good eyesight there's a bridge or line going all the way to the structure I just showed you too. Here you can't see it because I took down the exposure, but it helps see those white parts that are hard to see. This is just less than 40 kilometers from Copernicus crater. I showed it in the last video, but now with the filters. So there's so many ways of seeing the surface, but you got to wait till the perfect time. That's for sure. You definitely have to wait for the perfect time. Now this is one of my favorites. I didn't get that much attention the last time I showed it, not too long ago. A rectangle inside of Mare Serenitatis amongst all the greens and colors. That's not refraction, my friends. Those are the real colors on the surface. Bessel in the center there. And especially, look at it, red's bottom left. Especially once I invert it there, the square is so apparent. You can't say anything against it not being a deliberate boundary line that some type of intelligent species would have cut out. There's also one over to the left, actually, on the left side of Bessel crater. A bit not quite as apparent, but these boundary lines and squares appear in many areas, beside Copernicus, beside Plato crater, and you can see them. Oceanus Procellarum, you can see some circles, also beside Plato crater, perfect circles. Eratosthenes, just at the end, and to the left in the rocky part that you see there on each side is where Apollo 20, just off into the corner there, where they would have supposedly landed. You mean to tell me they wouldn't see these beautiful creature-like objects or whatever this may be under, the hazes? What did it just let go? Do you guys have I have good eyes. Did you see that it let go something dark, like a dark spot? Let's just see it one more time. These videos are not for everyone. Not everyone wants to take the time to look at a blurry surface and to understand what lines mean and to have to actually, take 2 seconds to see if they're actually connecting. Here's very interesting findings. When you see lines like this, almost 7 side by side, passing over this large mountain-like object, that's 90-degree angles at the end, you can tell that there's either something that's actively being used or something possibly ancient, who was on the moon, if anyone was, in the past. It's something very interesting. These large pipes that we see, incredible. And of course, these lights that, look at the characteristics of them. That black dot that you see beside the light as it lights up. Well, that's one particular UFO that I capture, and you see them, the black dots beside it. I've shown them close up, and it lightens up. The light gets bright and then the light dims down. These also very hard to see and understand. Well, not for me. There's dark structures on the moon and there's white reflective structuring on the moon. Probably other types of structures, but we're going to talk about those in particularly. Here, this is a negative shot where you can see the difference as to what people say is a shadow alongside these white structures. Well, look closely. You can see there's the object, right? And beside it, you see an outline, cutouts where other objects are cutting around and going around the objects. We're going to see them differently. Here, like the filter, you say, take it down, take the exposure down. I can't because they're all going to disappear. We're in the haze, right? And if I get any closer than this, it's going to be blurry. But the goal here is to show people what the ideal of the structures are. Do you not think it's pretty smart having white reflective structures like that along the craters? Near impossible to see, but not impossible to see. Again, here I was able to take the exposure down just right. It's beautiful to be able to see the differences where you see like a line of toothpaste over on the left there that forms around and makes like a triangular crater. There's dark structures side by side, and these ramparts or extra platformed with feet, may I add, and connections that are around them. So that makes me think that they're deliberately made to blend in with the surface to actually look like they're hiding, right? And if that's so, well, it's a sort of a camouflage. And here, nice 90 degrees side angle view that you could clearly see that the objects are different pieces, right? That white part is lifted off the ground and it's not a part of that black structuring. All over you see the lines. many areas, and it's in areas where everyone's looking, like Copernicus crater, Sinus Iridum that you can see here, Eratosthenes crater, and you see that some of the objects, and I could be crazy enough to say that, hey, there's UFOs on the top, right? Some of these craters look like they've been built.